Hello there, you're listening to Yakkin with Nick. I am Nick Hazelton, and let's just yak. My power went out today, and it kind of threw a wrench in my whole schedule. I had a Skype call scheduled to, I was going to record a show for a project that I'm not talking about yet. And I was planning on doing some computer work, and you have to have the power on to do that. And so I didn't have any electricity to run the internet, to run my computer, and I get to do these things. So I was not entirely happy about this. I can make do without the electricity, and I can find stuff to do if I don't get to meet appointments or if appointments aren't met. Whatever happens, I found a way to spend my time, a few ways, I guess. And I ended up being a decent day. It's not my best in terms of productivity, but I got some things done that needed to get done, and I guess, I don't know. But it really threw a whole wrench in my schedule, and it was quite frustrating, and it made me think about how reliant I am on this technology. This is something I think about frequently, I guess, but it's just another example. And I definitely could use this as an example to preach stoicism. I won't today. I won't do it. I know you think that, Nick likes to talk about stoicism all the time, and you have to bring it up once every episode. And I just did. But I'm not going to talk about it anymore. The point I want to make is that I don't really like that I'm so reliant on it. And I'd like to move away from being reliant on it. And I want to talk about that today. So let's do it. So first of all, I want to say that, yes, while I say that I'm not a fan of the internet, or I don't like it, or I'm kind of a luddite, but the truth is, I've grown up with the internet. I'm a millennial. I'm 18. I was born in 98. The internet was created in like 95, right? I think the DHS had it, though, way back in the 80s. But anyway, I grew up in it, right? I've been raised with the internet pretty much. I mean, it wasn't so popular when I was younger. Probably not until I was about 10. I don't really know, though. Yeah, I honestly don't really remember. But it's been around for pretty much my entire semi-adult life, right? My young adult life. It's been there. You get my point. So it's been a big part of my life. My business and this podcast, right? Obviously, I use the internet, but my business and what I do is pretty reliant on it, and the technology too, right? It's not just social media marketing and having an RSS feed and a website to upload to send out to people for a podcast. But, I also use apps like Evernote. I use my calendar online. There are many other things I could get into. But I very much value the technology that I use, and it's very useful, right? And I use it for a reason. I don't want to be a complete Luddite. I'm not an Amish person, though my family goes to a Mennonite church. We are not Amish. We have electricity, and we value it. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, right? I very much rely on it. And I think it's very important, but I do think that there are some downsides, and I think that the usage of the internet, and particularly screens, is what I'm a big thing about. I think it should be limited, and I think we should be careful with it. Because first of all, I think that I think this is pretty obvious, and I think that this is something I think about a lot: is how much have we adapted to our current culture and levels of technology. We've never seen something like the internet before. We've never seen a technology that can connect us all over the world, right? All of a sudden, people who, we were more connected, a more kind of globalized world, I guess, in the 90s than we ever had been before because of industry and economics, right? We were very economically tied with the rest of the world because of our ability to transport. We had planes and stuff. We could get to the other end of the world. We could still meet each other, unlike the 19th century where well, I guess it's still kind of true, but most people would never see like another country or even another town. I guess it's the Middle Ages, what they said, that a peasant never really traveled more than 9 miles from home or something. So we're much more connected than we ever used to be, right? We can talk to people in China or Azerbaijan. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan? I don't know. Sorry if anybody's Azerbaijani around here. But you get my point. We can do all these things. We're very connected, and that's cool in a lot of ways. But have we adapted to that? Because at least this is my opinion, I guess. I try to make sure that I'm seeming intellectually humble, right? I don't know if this is true. I don't want to spout my opinion as fact, right? This is just my opinion based on some evidence, right? It's based on some research and critical thought. But what was I saying? I forgot what I was even saying. I think I was saying that I'm asking the question, are we adapted to these things, to this technology that we have? Or because we used to, this is what I was saying. We used to be very tribal oriented, where I guess you could say we're pack animals. Humans are. We have a tribe and we pretty much stick within it. And while I'm pretty anti-tribal, I guess I get this from my friend Jim Jesus, Lolbert.com, thelolberts.com. Anyway, damn it, I just lose myself every time I give myself a little tangent. We're not, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Jeez. Oh my goodness, Nick. So we're used to being in small villages and with our own tribes, and there can be a decent amount of people, but I think like Dunbar's curve, whatever, is about 250 people. We've kind of adapted to have more and more people as we develop into cities and stuff like that, as agriculture has boomed. But I'd say we have some adaptation there, right? But when it comes to being connected all over the world and not really being in a 3D world space, when we're talking to people, I think can be, I don't know if I want to say harmful, but I think we should think about it and consider what are the potential downsides here. And it's very obvious that there are some downsides to being connected to everybody in the world, right? Because some people are pieces of shit. Honestly, this is one of my favorite quotes. I think this is from Michael Dean. I don't remember if he got it from somebody else, but I've heard him say this a few times. I think it's his. I'm pretty sure it's his. But the best thing about the internet, this is what he says, the best thing about the internet is that you can talk to anybody that you would normally never meet without it. But I butchered the phrasing of that. It's a paraphrase, sorry. And then he continues to say, and the worst thing about the internet is that you get to talk to people that you would never talk to. You get the point there, right? There's some interactions are fantastic. Some of the best people I've met online. Some of the worst people I've met online. So it's cool to be connected to all the great people, but it's also worrisome to be connected to the worst people. This is where we see movements like the racist alternative right. I guess I one of those things, I just feel like I shouldn't be spouting my opinion as fact, but yeah, I'll call them racist. It's fine. If you want to come after me and you want to debate, that's cool. We'll do it. Anyway, yeah, people like that, and of course, communists, abundant on the internet. Living in Oregon, I could have met communists without it, but all these people are now accessible via the internet. All these trolls, all these people who have no time on their hand except to mess with people on YouTube. Whatever it is, these people would not normally be accessible. And that's like a downside that I don't really care about that much. It's fine. I can ignore those people. I can stay pretty much away from them fairly effectively. I've done a pretty good job, I think. I don't have very many toxic much toxic communication online. But it's there, right? And it's also something I think that maybe we haven't adapted to is the amount of information. Because we have not had the access to this amount of information ever in the world. Yes, we've slowly adapted to books and stuff. Maybe that you could argue that's about as far as we've gone, but the leap from encyclopedias and libraries to the internet is giant. Now, like, there is a what's that comedian's name? I forget the guy's name. He's that damn it, something Peters. I forget. Maybe it's Peter something. Anyway, he's that guy. He's big and he smiles a lot, and he's kind of he seems like a very nice guy, very charismatic, and I really enjoy him. I think he's a funny comic, but he has this bit about having to research things through the library, and now you can just look it up online, right? Before, you'd have to go to the library, find the book, or find the encyclopedia, research it, and it would be hard. It would be difficult to do. Now, all it takes is you just type in, whatever information you want to find. What's the capital of Madagascar? You don't have to go to an atlas and find Madagascar on a map. You just type it into Google or Yahoo or Bing, whatever it is, and there it is. It lets you know right away. It's the same thing with anything. If you wanted to study philosophy, you'd have to read books from philosophers. The way I learned philosophy is by talking to people online, debating people. I have all this access to people. And while that's really cool, we have all this information, we can learn very much faster. But I at least want to consider, is there such thing as information overload? Is there such thing as too much information? Because as humans, at least in my opinion, we evolved from earlier apes, right? We evolved from mammals and animals. So I believe that we are animals. That's what I'm trying to say. And we shouldn't set ourselves apart and think that because we create this technology that we are automatically adapted to it. I think that we should be considering maybe we're not adapted to this, because I don't think that very many animals. We are obviously probably the most intelligent that there are. We have a complex language, many complex languages, and you can see what we've done to the earth. We're pretty much the dominant species for a reason, because of our intellect. But is there such thing? The hunter-gatherer mind, is it made to be able to juggle all of the capitals of the 50 states and what's going on in Russia and what's happening in the United States politics, what's going on with climate change? What are all these philosophical ideas that I should know about? Going to college, all these different things. We're balancing a lot of stuff in this society that we live in now because we're so connected. There's so much information. Can we get overloaded by it? I think that I can. I think that there is definitely too much information out there, and I don't need it all. So I think that maybe we should be careful. And I can't really show you that there is information overload. I'm not totally sure. I could have done more research before I did this show, and I could probably tell you whether that's true or not, or at least give you some evidence, pointing either way. But I really do wonder if we're not able to handle so much information. I know that this is true, though. At least this is my opinion based on some firm research and I think critical thought. I have some evidence, I would say. And I think it's pretty well accepted that these blue lights that come from these screens, these machines, are not good for your sleep, right? If you're, you could throw off your circadian rhythm, I believe is what they say. By staying up too late. And I found that, man, it is so easy to stay up late scrolling through YouTube and Facebook and playing games. It's so easy. You just keep going, and then you stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and you look up, you're like, oh, I was supposed to get up to school in like 3 hours from now. Uh-oh. It can be quite damaging to your sleep cycle. And that's very much shown through some various studies that have been done on that. So that's certainly a case where humans have not fully adapted to it. So it makes you wonder, are there other cases too, right? And I can't think of any other case other than being overly connected to information and people. We're definitely not adapted to that. Or we may not be adapted to that, sorry. And we're definitely not adapted to the light at certain times of day, you know? And then you can also wonder, haven't done any research on this, on what all these different signals do, like Wi-Fi and what radio does. I just don't know. I know that some people are concerned with it. I don't know. I'm not particularly, but that's coming from a place of ignorance, right? So there are all these different things that I don't think that very many people consider. And I think that while it's really cool to progress with the times and technology, I think that it may be wise to at least take a break and be closer to what our ancestors would have lived. Live closer to what we're designed to live for, right? Or to do. So that's what I'm trying to do is move towards a less screen-involved life. And I'm doing this in many different aspects of my life. I particularly in terms of nutrition, right? I'm a proponent of the paleo ancestral diet kind of approach. I'm more of a real foods approach kind of guy, I guess. Kevin Geary, Rebooted Body, shout out, rebootedbody.com. But I think that it's very smart to look at what have our ancestors done in the past, and what are we evolutionarily adapted to do, and what are the ideal conditions for a human being, and I try to look for that and look at history to determine that, because the science isn't out on it, and at least we can look back and say, well, this worked for them, you know. It's not a complete approach either, I just want to say, but I think it's a decent approach at it. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I think that that's involved in why I'm trying to limit my time on social media. And this is the last and final reason before what I get into what am I doing specifically, particularly, those are the words I'm looking for. The final reason is I think that I spend a lot, or just too much time. I don't remember if I touched on this before. I hope I'm not repeating a point. This is the problem with editing these shows, or not editing them, is I mess up and I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I think that the internet is very fun because of the entertainment aspect to it and all this information. It's really cool to have. Netflix, video games, all of these things, super fun, super cool. And I don't think that they're bad in and of themselves. And I don't want to say that escapism is bad in and of itself too, because I love it as well. Like I'm a big fan. But it can be damaging when you are trying to live a certain way and get things done. Like, at least in my experience of trying to pursue self-development in a direction of being very productive and self-motivated. I'm an entrepreneur. These are things I have to do, right? I have to be self-motivated because there's nobody else to tell me what to do. And part of the problem for me is that when there's nobody else to tell me what to do, I have free reign to do whatever I want. And if I feel like that's Netflix for 6 hours, it could be. I've done quite a bit of work to limit myself from doing that, and I don't do that. When I first got out of school, there were definitely some days of that. Maybe not 6 hours of Netflix, but wasting time online, video games, whatever. And it didn't help me. And so I've slowly been progressing to up my productive time, and now I'm kind of at a level where I've pretty much taken out. I don't want to say that. I slip up, but I'm doing pretty good at not using the internet and screens during my productive time, just because I don't want to. Honestly, I've just been better at that. But now I'm kind of at the point where I'd like to limit it in my luxury time, even, because that's the best time for it, right? Obviously, during productive time, it's a distraction, and you don't want that. But even during downtime, I think that it can be. I don't want to say it's harmful, but I guess this is what I'm trying to say is, while escapism from pieces of your life is fine, you need to have some downtime, and it's great to absorb information and pieces of our beautiful culture that is this United States and this Western world and the world in general. Netflix shows are really cool, and they are very excellent pieces of art, right? That's what that is. That's entertainment, art. And it's good to be in touch with that, I think. It's cool to have that luxury, and why not use it from time to time, or, even if it's every day. That's cool. I don't have any issue with that. But when we're escaping from problems that we have and not dealing with them, that's when I have an issue with it. And that's where I found that I use it as a distraction from my problems sometimes, and that I don't want to do. I think that it's valuable to have time just in your head. If you're not able to sit by yourself all alone, you've got some issues that you haven't worked out. And I've learned that from spending time by myself a lot and not having something to distract me. There's this excellent song by 21 Pilots, Car Radio. It's about this. It's about this guy singing about how his car radio was stolen, and now he can't listen to it. So all he does is sit in silence, and he kind of has to wrestle with the inner demons. I think it's a great song, and I really enjoy it. Car Radio by 21 Pilots. But anyway, you get what I mean? It can be dangerous if we're losing ourselves in the internet, like I have. I spent a lot of time when I was younger involved in the libertarian community online. And I spent almost all of my time arguing with people online because I didn't like the world I lived in. I was very interested in this ideology that I had just adopted, anarcho-capitalism. This isn't to disparage libertarians or anarcho-capitalists or the philosophy itself, right? But I took it and I became very evangelistic. And anyway, it was a very big part of my life, and other people did not share the same value. So I was very upset, and I didn't like the world I lived in. But online, I had this community of anarcho-capitalists that I could turn to, and they would be on my team. So I was using that as, to escape the world I was living in. And it ended up being, I would say that was a fine choice. If you look at the pattern of events from that, it wasn't that bad. But I wasn't having a fun time in the real world because I was hiding from the issues that were in it. I was trying to, it was escaping, right? So escapism is fine when we, there's a point where things are just too much and we just can't deal with it anymore. It's like, okay, shut it off. Like, there are days when I just get stressed out from the farm. Like, so many things are happening, and I've thought about it so much that it just gets painful to think about. And it's like, okay, I've thought it over so many times. There's nothing I can do about it now. Let's just stop. And sometimes it's too hard to stop all by yourself. And watching a Netflix show, turning on some music, listening to a podcast, talking to a friend online, playing a video game, it can be useful. There just has to be a balance, right? And that's really what this podcast is about, is that you got to find the balance. So how am I finding that balance? So far, I haven't found it. I'm still online more than I wish. But things that I'm trying to do. I try to limit my access to screens. I guess I always have access to it pretty much, but I try to limit my time on them. I put them down. I try to put them down after like 8:30 because I like to go to bed at like 9:30, 10. So I like to have some time where my eyes are not having those screens in front of them. Am I perfect at this? No, I'm not perfect at any of this, guys. But this is what I'm trying to do. Put those down by 8:30 because I want to have a healthy circadian rhythm, right? When it's dark outside, I don't really want to have these screens on. That's kind of the basic rule. But during the winter, when it gets dark at 4:30, not very, what's the word? Pragmatic, I guess. Not very useful. Practical, that's the word. Anyway, so I do that, and one thing that I've started to do, and I only did this, I don't think I even did it actually, now that I think about it, but I'm trying to schedule 1 week or 1 day a week where I just shut it off and don't have it, and just kind of disconnect. because I don't know. Maybe you just have to be interested in outdoors and being alone like I am, but it's so relieving just to not be connected to all these things. It's just kind of a relief. And this is half on accident, half on purpose. I've made it somewhat difficult to get a response from me and during a certain time. I deleted my Facebook app from my phone. That's a big thing, guys. I highly recommend. Don't need to get rid of Facebook. I know some people have done that. Scott Hebert from the Stoic Metal did that recently, and I applaud him. You don't need to go that far, but I deleted my Facebook app so I don't get notifications, and that has been so helpful. I highly recommend doing that because then you're just not going to it every time you get a notification and answering. So I probably go on Facebook once or twice a day, and sometimes I don't at all. And it's fantastic, and it's freed up a lot of my time, and I'm very happy with it. I wanted to finish that. Why I'm sort of disconnected. Yeah, deleted my Facebook app. I've turned off notifications on like Instagram. And so the only notification I get from social media are Facebook Messenger and Snapchat. I think I get messages if you PM me on Instagram. It'll pop up. I don't get notifications for email anymore. At least directly. If I go to it, it'll show me the push notification that, hey, there's not a push notification, but the red little dot that pops up on Apple. Anyway, I get a notification if I manually go and say, what emails have I had? Does that make any sense? I don't know. So I pretty much shut it all out. So I only get messages and nothing else. No, if somebody likes my thing on Instagram, I don't look at it. If somebody likes my post on Facebook, I don't look at it. If you view my Snapchat story, I don't look at it. If you email me, I don't look at it. I try to make myself pretty hard to get in contact with, and it's not because I don't want to be in contact with. It's just that I've done it. Part of it is because my machine that I use, my Apple iPod Touch, is kind of a piece of shit. It doesn't work very well, but because I don't have a phone that's connected to the cell phone service stuff, the AT&T and Verizon shit, whatever that is. I don't get notifications when I'm out and about, which is a problem, but I have a dumb phone, so if you really need to get in contact with me, it happens. I may change that setup in the future because I like to have GPSs. That's a nice thing when you're trying to make deliveries in town, when somebody gives you the wrong address and you're driving for like an hour trying to find this place and you don't have service because they live out in the middle of nowhere, so you have to go drive back to town and then message them and be like, hey, where do you live? I couldn't find your address. And then they resend it to you and it's the right one. And sorry. I'm a little bit bitter over that. I don't know if that person listens. They're a fine person. I don't have any judgment against them. Anyway, I'm trying to keep this like a decently short presentation. I hope I'm not too rambly today, guys. But those are a couple of things that I've done to kind of that keep me less involved, less connected. And I think it's valuable. Other things I try to do is to spend time out in the woods, right? Because that's what I like to do instead. And being disconnected and kind of going back to, hey, this is the natural environment of human beings or whatever. Very helpful. I feel like I had more, but none of it's really coming to mind. That's it. I guess that's it, guys. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do to limit myself from the internet. To kind of go over a quick summary, delete Facebook app, turn off notifications on phone, spend time outside disconnected where people can't reach you. It's very rewarding. I don't know. I find it rewarding. Maybe you won't. There's got to be something else I'm missing. I'm sorry, guys, if I can't think of it. Oh, of course, yes. I forgot these that I mentioned earlier. Turning off your phone before you, at least, I don't know I forget what people say. There's a specific time that people have found through studies that's beneficial. But I try to shut them off about an hour before I go to bed. And then having a day where you just turn off notifications. Not notifications to your entire phone. You just don't have it. Sorry. And I think that's it, guys. I think that's just about all I do. Is I just try to be kind of careful too. I try to be mindful of what am I doing when I'm on this, and is it productive for me? Because that's really what I'm looking for. The reason why I'm doing it really is because I'm looking to be able to spend my time in a more fulfilling way. I think that a good way to look at what is fulfilling is to know how you feel about it. And I found that when I instead go on a walk or spend time outside, even if it's, rolling a joint and going on a walk, or just sitting and staring at the stars, it's more rewarding than scrolling through Facebook. So don't do the internet, do drugs, kids. Anyway, you get my point is I just think that while it's really cool and we can be involved in so much cool stuff, I think that we're losing touch with what human beings are naturally supposed to do. And I don't want to judge anybody, right, for who make this decision or really like the internet and don't want to move away from it. That's cool. Do whatever you want. You and I are not the same people. I have different values, and this is what makes me happy. If the internet is what makes you happy, that's really what matters. Pay attention to how it makes you feel. If you feel like the internet is slowing you down or keeping you back or harming you in some way, get rid of it or limit yourself. But if you like it, then yeah, do whatever you want. That's all I have to say, guys. Wow. I feel like this was super rambly. I try to make my presentations short and pretty concise, right? I try to be respectful of your time. But at the same time, I'm trying to learn how to speak and do, it's just all by myself, like pulling the Rush Limbaugh card. Like with the Freedom Fiends, I have a co-hosts right there that I can throw to, and they can throw to me, right? It's very much easier to do that. And with anarcho-capitalism, typically I was speaking with a script. I was reading something out. But now I'm trying to learn how to be a better, rhetorician. I'm trying to get better at speaking. And this is my way to do it. So I try not to edit these things out, but partly because this is kind of my thought process as I go through it. This is what you would hear if you and I were to talk, right? If I were going to explain this to you face to face, this is how I would speak to you. And I'm just trying to improve that so that I can be more entertaining and have a shorter and more concise and more simple presentation. And for the few shit, as I talk about get better at speaking, I make a mistake. And like for the first 50, 100 episodes, I'm not going to be very good at it. I've been doing podcasting for a couple years. I'm definitely better than I used to be, but I have much more room to improve. And I just wanted to share that because I feel like today might have been a little bit tangential and rambly, and I may not have been the best. One of the ways I'm trying to get better at this is to write myself some outlines, and today's outline was kind of half-assed. And I may have paid for that. But I hope that you enjoyed this anyway. And I think that this is valuable information. And if you think so too, I would greatly appreciate your support on Patreon. Or if you write me a review on iTunes or Stitcher, TuneIn, wherever you find me, I also very much appreciate that. Your financial endorsement or your public endorsement through words. Or what's the opposite of I don't know. Your financial sponsorship and your public endorsement mean very much to me. That's what I want to say. If you'd like to help out Yakkin with Nick and myself, you can go to patreon.com/justyakkin. That's Patreon, patreon.com, patreon.com/just Yakkin, that's JUSTYAKKIN. Patreon.com/just Yakkin. If you'd like to give me feedback, you can go to Facebook and hop in my feedback group. That's the Yakkin with Nick feedback group. If you look that up on Facebook, you'll find it. I try to post a link in every episode. I don't think I did for the last few. I'm sorry. I'll do it this time if I remember. You can hop in there. You can post wherever you want. If you're being rude or staying or going off topic, I will throw you out. But it's a place that you can give me some feedback, and I really am open to hearing harsh criticism or anything you have to say, because I value you as a listener, and I want to hear what you have to say. You listen to me, and I think that it's more than fair that I listen to you. I'd like to hear what you think about what I'm talking about, what you'd like me to talk about in the future, and any thoughts that you have, questions, comments, concerns, throw them at me. Yakkin with Nick feedback group on Facebook. You can also email me at yakkinwithnick@gmail.com. You can comment at the website, justyakin.libsyn.com. You can comment on Facebook, I guess, too, where I post them. Anyway, thank you guys again for listening. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a nice day.